Another practice, and we touched on this before, is advertising. There is absolutely no way to not violate the fair housing law, in my opinion. All right? In the paragraph on page 40, about 2/3 of the way down, the selective use of media, whether by language or geography, may have a discriminatory impact. For instance, advertising property only in the Korean language newspaper tends to discriminate against non-Koreans. First of all, duh. Second of all, so how do I advertise? What's the official language of the United States? That sounded racist right out of the gate. What is the official language of the United States? We have in English. Anybody else? What do you think? She said Hispanic. That's the old, was it George Lopez in the elevator? This is America. Speak Spanish. The official language is? There is none. English does not have and never has adopted English as its official language. It just so happened that all or most of the people that were here first, excluding the Indians, spoke English. But remember, they wanted that whole melting pot thing. So they have never adopted English as the official language. It just so happens it was the predominantly one spoken when we kind of started. I saw a shirt the other day. A buddy of mine is American Indian, and he's got a shirt that says, if you don't think, what's it say? If you don't think, I'll have to come back to it. His name is actually, he's a comedian. His name is Joe Running Cloud. That's his given name. It's his last name. Oh, it said, if you don't think immigration's a problem, ask an Indian. He grew up with me, but he's a comedian. We used to go play that, remember that Dance Dance Revolution game where you would step on all the stuff? He could never win, but it would always rain for 3 days afterwards. That's wrong. No, actually, his name's Joe Running Cloud. Back to the advertising. So you have to advertise in a language that is not discriminatory against people. How do you do that? How do I advertise in Burmese, in Sikh, in Farsi, in German, and in English, by the way, without driving me broke? I mean, this gives this book actually gives you the example. So if I put an ad for sale in the Indy Star in English, what about the people that you know that don't speak English, or that anybody knows that doesn't speak English? It's discriminatory against them. Isn't that a violation? According to this, right out of the gate. There's some other things that bother me. There was a home builder on the East Coast that built homes. Took out a big billboard to advertise his home. He hired a model to go on the billboard. The model was a black gentleman. And he put the guy's wife with him, which coincidentally happened to be a black female. And he put their kids to show the family. Guess what? They had black children, right? Kind of makes sense. The ACLU sued him because they were inferring, or that he inferred that only black people lived in the inner city. And he lost the lawsuit to the tune of $2 million. If you look on this chart on page 41, see where it says not permitted? Go all the way down to the last column where it says photographs. The example, illustrations showing only individuals in ethnic dress, African American families, mature white adults, are a violation. If you create an ad with a person in it, and trust me, I did this. But it became so apparent to me that I actually had to go and actively seek out something. When I was creating the website for the school when it first started a long time ago, I had this genius idea that I was going to have this front page with flipping pictures, like of a person looking through a microscope and a person wearing a mortarboard and a person studying and doing all that. So I went on the website, and I'm looking for all these pictures and I'm pulling them in, and I step back and I look at my website and I realize it was all white males. I don't know if I intentionally did it or subconsciously did it or just liked the pictures. But the point being was, can't get away with that. So now I had to actively go out and search for minority pictures looking at a microscope so that I could get this random, which is no longer random now, so that it didn't infer that I was trying to say something. The best example of this used to be Bank One, and now Bank One's bought by Bank of America. Bank of America. Bank One, when Bank One is around, Bank of America still does it. Go into the Bank One. Look at the posters on the wall that's advertising all of their checking stuff. I will make you two comments. One, you never see a white male in any of the posters. And two, there are always at least two people that have what I would say in the normal word, nothing in common. Because they want to show the diversity. Older Hispanic guy talking to a young Asian girl. All right? Trust me, they do it. They do it now. Because they don't want to get caught in this violation that says if you show an illustration and you hire a model family to put on your poster, which all happen to be one color, that all of a sudden now it's a problem because you're inferring that only blacks lived in the inner city. And he lost the lawsuit. If you remember a number of years ago, Ford had a commercial that I used to laugh at. It showed the kids in the back seat, and remember they were doing the Ozzy Osbourne song Crazy Train? And the one kid's shaking the ice, and the other one goes, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. It was a young black child, an Asian girl, and a white kid, and two white parents. It's like the Rainbow Coalition. How'd that come about? But they made sure that there was different sexes, different ages, different ethnic backgrounds, all of that, because they did not want to appear as doing certain things. It's a violation. How do you not violate some of this? And I'm not overtly saying that my school was just for white males. It just so happens that the 5 pictures I picked out may be random, maybe it was my subconscious, or I just like the pictures, all turned out that I went back and looked at them, and it was 5 pictures of 5 white guys doing the things that, because I was thinking, looking through a microscope, a mortarboard, somebody studying, holding an iPad to show the online, people in the class, all white males. So I had to go back and go, so what I ended up doing now is went away from all of it and went to just, pictures like the classroom with nobody in it. Which represents a good school, an empty classroom, right? We're the best school. There ain't nobody here. Yeah. So, obviously there are some in there that make some sense. English speaking only. Can't use that.
What if you have, because I know like some areas now you're starting to see the signs in English and in Spanish, and there's another one now out and about. I don't know what language it is. But are you supposed to be doing like 3 signs now
Well,
in certain areas?
See, that's what I'm saying. Even 3 signs don't cover it all.
No, it doesn't.
So they're basically saying appeal to minorities. Is that?
Well, I think what she's suggesting is this person's trying not to discriminate by getting the largest number of people. But what this is saying here is if you advertise in a language, it discriminates against that non-speaking language. That Donna girl that I told you about, all her signs are in Spanish. If you don't speak Spanish, is that discriminatory to you? Now, I know what a for sale sign looks like. I'm pretty sure that says for sale. But who knows? It could say roofing company. But that's only 3.
So if there's,
I mean, we've got probably 5 languages that we speak in here right now. So even 3 don't cover it. And that's funny because now a lot of places you hear, click 1 for English, 2 for Spanish. What about Burmese? I mean, we have a large Burmese contingency now. So by saying click 1 for English and 2 for Spanish, they're trying to not discriminate, but in essence, they are discriminating because they forgot all the other nationalities that we have here. And that's what I'm telling you. How do you do this?
so if there's a contact number,
Hey,
if
if you want to get technical, because I'm a math person, numbers are discriminatory. We aren't using Roman numeral numbers. We use Arabic numbers.
we don't even use the metric system and the rest of the world does.
Yeah. So, and that's what I started with. I meant, we're all warm and fuzzy, and I know what the answers are on the quiz, and I would say, hopefully everybody in the world is smart enough to not say, I am not selling to you because you're Sikh or because you're Martian. That's just plain stupid. But what you get into are some of these rules now that you have a hard time going to this. The example that I gave you earlier was Ken Yamada. Ken Yamada is Japanese. Works for me. All right? He deals with a large contingency of the Japanese culture. Makes sense. In the real world, we all tend to hang out with our own kind. It's just a natural humanistic thing. I go to the Pipe Puffer over there on County Line Road. Guess who hangs out there? Go ahead, you can say it. Older, white, well-to-do, Republican males. I meant, we have other cultures. There's women come in. There's a couple of black guys that come in. There's a Indian that comes in. But I meant, typically, people tend to gravitate towards their others and their own. Look at Homecoming. You guys know where Homecoming is? This housing addition right over here on the other side of 80% Indian. And I have dealt with clients before that have specifically said, I want to be there because that is where, and he literally said, my people are. Now,
Your Hispanic belt.
huh?
Just like your Hispanic belt.
Yeah. Now, in his particular case, he said, I want to move into Homecoming. Okay, that's a geographic. And I could do that. But, I mean, he went on to tell me why he wanted there. Yeah. When I went to Germany, I spent 6 months in Germany. Guess who I hung out with? The English-speaking people, because I could understand them. We tend to do that kind of stuff. I was in Germany. I had really long hair, like on my shoulders and my full beard. And the lady comes up to me one day, and she goes, do you speak English? I'm like, yeah. She goes, is this the train to go up the mountain? I'm like, yes, I believe it is. Do you know how much it costs? Apparently, when you speak another language, if you speak slower, it helps. She said, do you know how much it costs? I said, I don't know. My brother's in buying the tickets. We're going to go up and ski. She said, wow, your English is very well. How long have you been speaking English? I said, about 28 years. I'm from Indiana. She goes, oh, I'm from Texas. We're neighbors. I guess if you're in Germany, Texas is a neighbor to Indiana. But I had that happen several times. Do you speak English? Yes, I speak. I guess the long dark hair and dark eyes, they thought I was German. But everybody kept saying, do you speak English? Yes, I speak English. That's who I'm hanging out with. All right? Appraising. You cannot appraise a property and use one of the 7 protected classes to differentiate. You can't say something like, well, this house is worth 120, but if it was in the Jewish neighborhood, it would be worth 160 or whatever. It's a violation. Redlining. I was a victim, literally, of redlining. Redlining is an old bad trick that mortgage company and insurance companies would do they would take a map of the city and they literally would take a red pen and draw a circle around some area and go, do not write policies inside of that area because of the so-and-so people live there. That's a redlining. I had a house at 1424 West 14th Street. Anybody know where that's at? Just north of the old Busch Stadium. Directly north. I called my insurance company, and I promised Farm Bureau that I would never mention their name when I told this story. So the guy, I said, hey, John, I need insurance on this house. He comes out the next day and goes, hey, I can't insure this house because the crime statistics are too high. Like, are you telling me that there are the wrong kind of people living here? He's like, oh, no, I would never say that. I'm telling you the crime statistics are too high. So I left Farm Bureau and actually went to Erie Insurance. If anybody has rentals, Erie Insurance is probably the best insurance for insuring your rental properties. I like them the best. So redlining literally is, had a red line said don't rent to them, don't sell in there, don't write insurance policies, things like that.